Geoff Williams. I was an FBI special agent for almost 24 years. I retired in March of 2020, and since then I have been a contractor with the United States government.
Very cool. What did a typical day at work look like for you?
Well, when I was in the FBI, there actually were no typical days. Some days it'll be in the office doing work. Other days we'll be out on surveillance. We'll have interviews. It just depends on what kind of case you're working, what kind of program you're working on, whether it's counterterrorism, whether it's drugs, whether it's counterintelligence, espionage. It's just runs the gamut, and it just depends on what you're working on at a particular time.
Very cool. Was there like a range of hours that you would work in a day or?
So for the FBI, for federal agents, there's a minimum of 50 hours a week, and your time is actually tracked because Congress allocates agents according to how many they want to have working a particular program, international terrorism or drugs or gangs or whatever. So down to basically the 15 minutes, you have to track your time every day, and it has to be at least 50 hours a week.
Wow, okay. Was there like a range of salaries that someone in a similar position would make?
Sure, I'll keep it to the agent side. That's kind of my basis of experience. So it goes all the way from about $78,000 a year to $153,000 a year. Just depends on how many years you have in, and then managers and executives can make more than $153,000.
Cool. Is there like a specific degree required to work for the FBI?
Sure. To be an FBI special agent, you have to have a 4-year degree. You have to be at least 23. You have to have 2 years of work experience, and then you have to pass both a background investigation and a physical fitness evaluation, and then be eligible for a top secret clearance.
What do you think was like the best part of your job?
The best part of the job was probably the people, working with the people. Some of the most talented people, whether they were in the FBI, in the Central Intelligence Agency, in the Navy and the Army. I got a chance to work with Navy SEALs and Special Forces. So the people were probably the best part. I just met some of the most talented people that you could ever want to meet in the course of my career.
That's really awesome. What do you think was like the worst or like the hardest part?
Probably the hardest part is bringing cases to court. People, I think you see, crime shows on TV or shows about the FBI on TV, and it's, the cases are done in 45 minutes, plus commercials. Some of these cases take years to put together, and just building those cases incrementally over sometimes months or years, and then dealing with the prosecutor's office, who always want more evidence, and so that can be frustrating. But ultimately, when you put the bad guy away, it's positive.
Yeah, that's really cool. What do you think was the biggest misconception about being an FBI agent?
I think it's the power that I think people have. As an FBI agent, you do have the power to arrest, you do have the power to search people's houses, but all of that power basically is tied to legal process. So if I wanted to arrest somebody, I just couldn't go out and arrest somebody off the street. I would have to go to a prosecutor, to a federal prosecutor, and talk to him or her about getting legal process to do that. So anything you wanted to do, you would basically have to, for lack of a better term, mother may I, either to the prosecutor's office or subsequently to a federal judge to get you the authority to do the arrest, to do the search, or to get the records. So there's a little bit more oversight and process than I think most people think.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So did you travel a lot, or did you work in an office, or?
So I had different phases of my career. I traveled a lot when I was in Washington, D.C. I worked in 3 different FBI field offices, here in Las Vegas, in Washington, D.C., and in Las Vegas. When I was in Washington, D.C., I worked on the anthrax mailings case. In 2001, there were a series of letters that were mailed out to media outlets and also to public figures and to senators with anthrax in the actual powdered anthrax in the envelopes, and I was assigned to that case. My responsibility during that investigation was to look at any potential international terrorism ties to the case. Ultimately, it was decided, or it was found to be a domestic terrorism case. But my job was to go out and make sure that, you know, some foreign government or terrorist organization didn't do it. So I got to travel to the Middle East, I got to travel to Afghanistan, Iraq, Sudan, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, to Jordan. So I had some interesting experiences in those countries.
That's really interesting. What would you tell a high school student who wanted to become an FBI agent?
So what I would say is, don't pigeonhole yourself into kind of a, you know, investigative criminal justice type of educational track. There are tons of different experiences that FBI agents have. Before I was an FBI agent, I was a Marine Corps officer. I have friends that were school teachers. I had friends that were attorneys, others that were accountants. One guy I worked with is a Navy SEAL. Another guy was an Army Green Beret. We had college professors, people who were former college professors. Even though I said previously 23 years old is the minimum age, most agents are in their early 30s when they come to the FBI, so it's a second career for them. So they have already done something significantly. Usually they have a postgraduate degree. So there's a ton of background. I worked with an art expert. So anything under the sun, language background. If you speak Arabic, if you speak Spanish, if you speak Chinese, all of that is kind of goes to what the FBI has, because there's such a wide variety of investigative purview that the FBI has. So you need different skill sets for each of those individual areas.
Yeah. So is there anything else you think is like important to share that you think is, you know, relevant?
Yeah, what I would say is that for my time in the FBI, it was some of the most rewarding of my life, and I was a Marine, as I said previously, I was a Marine. I love that. Love my time as an FBI agent. It's a great job, and it is what you make of it. So I worked probably 6-7 different programs, from weapons of mass destruction to international terrorism to domestic terrorism, counter-espionage. I caught spies, I caught terrorists, I caught gang members. So if you want to have a career where you can basically reinvent yourself within the organization, it's a job for you.
That's really cool. Well, thank you so much for doing this today.
Okay, great.